Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Basically Biblical. It is Friday evening, and we're at the beginning of the Sabbath on the East Coast. And as I promised, we would talk about the various Hebrew names of Jesus or God. And so tonight we're talking about Adonai. Adonai is sort of a more respectful term for God. And also, while being respectful, it is also more intimate. You know, sort of like when you refer to your mom or your dad, or even some children referring to their grandparents as Papa or Nana. It's a sort of familiar word, but it is also a very respectful word. And let me just read from Psalms 148 and 13. Let them praise the name of the Lord, for his name alone is exalted. His splendor is above the earth and the heavens. Maybe you have you've heard of Adonai and you've heard of Lord, and immediately you think of maybe some Victorian or English title given to someone as, Lord such and such or Lady so and so. But in those titles, we see that Lord is one of honor, great honor. Lord being treated as royalty. And of course, in this sense, we're talking about the divine name of the Lord, Adonai. In Greek, this is Kyrios. And in Greek, it involves much more than just the divine nature of Lord, but it also includes Yahweh, the Holy. They talk about Adonai as the idea, the embodiment of sovereignty and rulership and honor. Sovereignty as our creator, God, who possesses the title deed, if you will, to all that is and is to be. And Isaiah 45 and 9 says, woe to those who quarrel with their maker, those who are nothing but potsherds. In other words, pieces of clay, pieces of the pottery. Does the clay say to the potter, what are you making? Does your work say the potter has no hands? As the one who both made and sustains us, the potter has full authority and control over our lives. Paul said in 1 Corinthians 6 and 20 that we were bought We bristle at the thought of being owned by anyone. Why should we have to do what another tells us to do? We're not slaves, are we? Yes and no, Paul argues. We are bought. We're redeemed through the blood of Jesus, the Messiah. And out of slavery to sin and into a new life of service to God. But God is not just a Lord and Master, as we have spoken of many times in this series of episodes. God is not just a Lord who rules over us and just arbitrarily. He is a loving Father. He is a guide. He is a teacher. He is a comforter. Remember a couple of episodes we talked about over 100 names or titles for the Lord. Provider, healer, sustenance, our all and all. So his lordship over our lives is to bring out his glory and to help us to identify our very usefulness, our very good, our very intention. We are his servants, yes. And he is our Father who wants to see us grow. Many times I have said throughout this podcast that God is not just a God who is looking to bring the hammer down on us, but he is looking to bring out what he has in fact poured into us. And I often reference many times the nature of a parent and child relationship. But when you have as a mentor, a teacher, a president of a corporation, a leader of a group, the drill sergeant in the military, they're not being hard on you or being mean to you as many people would think. But they know, they see in you something of value. And they want to bring it out. They want to bring it forth. So likewise, wouldn't a holy Father, knowing that he created in you a beautiful creature, one full of intelligence and creativity, one full of love, that he would want to wrought that out, work it out in us. A Father who wants to see us grow, as Philippians 1:6 says. So, Adonai, honor, is a way of meeting God where he is at. Meeting God in his majesty. You are master. You are owner. And by relinquishing to his plan, because I know some of you don't like the word submitting, but by giving over to his plan and his authority, I know it feels kind of scary. I know that it feels like it's the unknown. You don't know where you're going. You don't know where you're being led. But that in itself embodies the beauty of relying on God as our maker and our Father, our leader, the orchestrator of all that is and is to be. I don't know how many of you are married, whether you have a spouse, but if you can recall some of the times when you perhaps were first dating with your significant other, he or she picked you up in a vehicle, maybe met you at a restaurant or some venue, and you were, in essence, giving over to them, that person in your life, the power of orchestrating the evening or the afternoon. Many times, our mates or significant others will maybe not give us all of the details, but in essence, they're asking us to trust them to guide and direct and plan the evening. And for some, I'm sure the first time that this happened, it was very uneasy for you, particularly if you are a person who wants to be in control. But you soon learn to rely on that person. You soon learn to trust them, that where they were driving the car, where they were leading the evening or afternoon, where they had decided what movie or play or activity to share with you. You trusted them that they were going to be loving, compassionate, and that the evening or the afternoon would be joyous. Well, if we can trust a human being, a person who, as we have discussed, is very prone to emotions, situations, environments, and is very prone to all kinds of deceitful and maybe in some cases demonic ideas. If we can trust a human being, how much more can we trust a holy God? A God who is just, honest, and faithful to provide for us our every need. So Adonai, as master and owner, submitting, relinquishing your will to his will, his authority, can feel scary at times. But in the end, the way is always gracious. So that is a preview of tomorrow's episode, Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I look forward to discussing with you the additional names, the Hebrew names of Jesus, God, our Father. And so we will look at El Elohim. We will look at, as we said before, El being sort of a the initial word, the title of God, El being sort of generic.